Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with my long-awaited Frankening video for my Panda palette. This is the Soft Glam palette and this is what it looks like at the moment. Let me move away the mirror. Yes, this is what it looks like at the moment. This is what it looks like at my last update. I'm filming this actually the next day, but I haven't done my makeup with it yet. So it is exactly the same as my last update video. And I wanted to do some Frankening. So in my last update I did finish up Rose Pink, so that means I have 3 empty slots in this palette now. And I wanted to take advantage of that and do some kind of Frankening with this palette just so I can, I don't know, just get some more use out of the shades in more creative ways and more kind of unique ways, and also have some more shades to play around with. So I have plans for all 3 spots. I'm going to do 3 Frankening shades today. The first shade here I am going to do with Dusty Rose and Orange Soda. I want to Franken these two because Dusty Rose is quite cool tone, Orange Soda is very warm tone, and I think those two together will create more of a neutral tone. So that's going to go into this slot. For here, we're going to Franken a little bit of Sienna together with this white shade right here. This is from Sydney Grace. I actually have 2 of these. That's why I'm using one of them for Frankening. This is like my go-to Frankening single. These are called Snow Queen. So I'm going to use this white shade just to brighten up some things. So I'm going to use Sienna together with this white here. And then in this spot, I'm going to use Rustic and the white again to make more of a kind of crease shade. So that is my plan today for those 3 slots. So I'm going to use 4 of the shades in my Frankening today. But before I jump into all of that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So we're gonna start with this shade right here with Dusty Rose and Orange Soda. So I'm gonna take a piece of paper and then we're gonna start scraping. This is always the stressful part because I don't want to like dig a hole or anything. And I'm gonna start with Dusty Rose. This one has a little bit of a dip in it already, but if I can follow that pattern, hopefully that should be fine. Something like that. Let me do a little bit more. So there we have the Dusty Rose shade. This is what it looks like now after Frankening or after removing the shadow. I'm going to do the same with Orange Soda. I'm going to take out a little bit of that pan. And again, I'm trying to do it evenly so that I don't like expand the pan or anything, or like, I don't know, I don't want to dig a hole, like I said. Something like that. Maybe a little bit more of Orange Soda. I feel like I have more Dusty Rose at the moment and I want to do these quite evenly. Okay, something like that. So these are the 2 shades. Don't have too much product, but I don't want to Franken too much in case I don't like the shade. So I'm gonna use kind of mix these 2 together a little bit. And then I haven't decided. I think I'm gonna repress with alcohol today, just to, because the shape of the pans, I think it's gonna be easy to repress with alcohol if I use, because of the shape of the pan. So that's what I'm gonna do today. So let me just mix this up, like I said, a little bit, and then we can see what the shade looks like. Okay, so there we have it. It is definitely more of a neutral kind of tone. So let me swatch. That's Orange Soda. You can see that's very light and very kind of bright. And then Dusty Rose next to it is definitely more cool toned. So hopefully you can see there that this one makes more of a neutral shade, which I think I'm going to love. I might actually make this Frankening more, but for now I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and repress that into the Tempera spot, just, yeah, to see how it goes. But I'm going to pour it into here, get some alcohol, and then I will be right back. So I'm back. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see better when I repress it. I have my alcohol in this little Inglot Durline container. Okay, so I'm going to pour a tiny bit in here. I'm going to be quite gentle. Well, that's probably too much, but let's see. I have it all in there, and let's just mix. Yeah, that's too much, but that's fine. We can remove some of the alcohol once I get it mixed up. So that is it right there. I'm thinking if I should add some more powder just because it is so liquidy. Maybe I should. Maybe I should do like a tiny bit more of each shade just to get it mixed up properly in the alcohol. Let me go ahead and do that. Sorry, you can't really see much because I zoomed in. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, that's definitely better now. It's not as liquidy, it's more of a creamy consistency. So let me go ahead and repress it now. I'm also going to use this lipstick just to get the tissue in there properly and get into the corners as well. And we have something like that, so that's absolutely perfect. Yeah, it's a really good kind of repress, I think. So that's the first shade done, which is Dusty Rose and Orange Soda. So far all of the shades in the palette are still original to this palette, but that's not soon going to change because I'm going to introduce this white shade for Sienna and Rustic. Okay, so I think next up I'm going to go ahead and do the Frankening of Sienna. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to scrape a tiny bit of this shade, and again trying to keep the pan even, something like that. Okay, so there we have that shade scraped out. I might need more, but for now I'm going to stop there and go in with the white. So I'm just going to go ahead and scrape some of this white shade. Don't know how much I need. My goal with this is to make more of a crease shade, by the way. Okay, I definitely need more than that in order to repress it, I think. It's not enough shadow, so I'm going to put a little bit more of the white. Something like that. And then I think a little bit more of Sienna as well. And we have something like that. Okay, so I'm going to swatch it out right here just to see what the shade looks like at the moment. Okay, yeah, I quite like that. It's more of a kind of peachier tone. So that is the shade I just made, and this is definitely different. Let me swatch them actually next to each other too. Yeah, that's nice. Do I want to add more white to it or not? No, I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into the pan and start repressing. Okay, so it's all in there. It looks very grey now, but I think it's because the pigments aren't fully mixed. So again, I'm going to pour some alcohol. Try not to do too much this time. Okay, something like that. So let me go ahead and mix that up. Okay, so we have something like that. Again, a little bit too much alcohol, but that's fine. I'm just going to absorb some of it with a tissue. Okay, it's actually absorbing like all the product into the tissue too. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I think, let this one sit for a bit until I have done the other Franken. So once I have done this one in the white, I can repress them both at the same time. I'm just going to let some of the alcohol evaporate while I work on the shade Rustic. What's also funny, by the way, when I'm looking at these right now, it looks like I made Dusty Rose. But I think it's because it's obviously wet, so it's going to lighten up when it's like dry, of course. So I don't think it's a big issue, but it's kind of funny to look at. But next up, I'm going to go ahead and do Rustic. So I'm going to go ahead and again and scrape some of the shade. I am again not going to try to dig a hole or anything. I'm going to try to go as even as I can. Okay, so there we have that shade, and again I'm going to go in with the white next, and I'm going to go ahead and scrape some of this out. Okay, we have something like that. So again, let me mix these two up. Okay, so there we have that shade. So let me go ahead and swatch that out too. I think it's going to be more of a cool toned shade. Okay, yep, it's definitely more of a cool tone shade. Again, I'm sorry, I'm very zoomed in. But I think that's going to be fun because I don't really have any cool tones in this palette. So there we have that shade. I think it's going to be a little bit darker when it's actually mixed because I think some of the pigments aren't mixed properly. Actually, should I put a little bit more rustic in? I think maybe I should, just to make it a little bit deeper. Just a tiny bit like that. So again, let me just mix these two up before I proceed with repressing. And again, I'm going to pour that into the pan. So there we have that shade. Let me again go ahead with the alcohol. I think hopefully this time I didn't do too much, but let's mix it up. Okay, this time I actually have too little alcohol, so I'm going to be very, very careful and try to put in the tiniest amount. There we go, and I think again that's too much now. It's so fiddly. My pipette broke, which is really, really annoying. Yeah, that's definitely way too much alcohol. Okay. I'm probably going to have to let that one sit too for a bit. So I'm going to let... Actually, I think I should be able to repress the other one now, because that one already looks so much better. So I'm going to use the lipstick again. And just press that gently down. Yeah, see, that's already better now. Like, it's not absorbing as much. This is mainly just like the alcohol pigment. It's not actually the pigment of the eyeshadow. I can see that I haven't mixed the pigment properly though in that, because it's a little bit of a divide between the white and the other shade, but that's fine. So I'm just going to press it again. And there we have that shade. So we have one shade down here, and then we have one here, and then this one I'm going to wait a couple minutes and come back and press this one too once some of the alcohol has evaporated. Okay, I'm back, and the product has definitely dried out a little bit, so I'm going to try pressing it now. So I'm using the tissue again, and I'm going to again go in with the lipstick straight away. It's because it's a perfect fit for the pans. So I'm just going to press this down. You can see there's still a lot of alcohol coming off, but not any product, just some pigment from like the alcohol itself. I'm going to press it one more time, and I think there we have it. That looks like a very, very cool tone shade, but of course it's going to look different when it's all dry. But I'm really, really happy with it so far. I think these are going to be very thin. I can actually see a little bit of pan peeking through in this shade already. Not sure if you can catch that on the right angle maybe. It's like the tiniest bit, like right there. I don't know if you can see that, but it is very, very thin, so that's fine. I kind of want to trial this anyway to see if I like the shades that I made. And if I don't, you know, then I don't have too much to use up anyway. And if I do, I can always Franken more later. So really happy. It's going to be interesting to see how this one compares to Orange Soda actually, because I feel like now they look quite similar. No, actually not. This one is definitely more kind of slightly more neutral tone than this one, which is more orange toned. And then, yeah, this one and this one. I feel like this one we made here looked like Dusty Rose, but looking at them next to each other, this one is definitely more kind of, sorry you can't see, this one is definitely more peachy tone, and this one is definitely more kind of cool tone, so that's fine as well. And this one here is going to be quite cool toned, and I don't think it's going to be anything like it in the palette. So very happy having some variety in this palette, and we'll see how it goes. It all of a sudden looks like I have so much product left as well. I'm going to start using this one. Hopefully the palette would look very different at the next update. Like I said, I am filming this the day after my palette update, so I haven't used this at all since then. And in the next month I'm hoping to get some more use out of the Franken shades, and I also have some goals which I talked about in my last update, so you can check that out if you want to. But that is going to be it for today. I'm going to of course take some kind of footage of this palette once it's dried, just to include in my next palette update, so then you can see what all the shades look like when they're 100% dry. And then I'm also gonna weigh this palette to see how much product I've added, so that I can subtract that from all of the total use once I have used up all of those shades. But yeah, that is going to be it for today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!